Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Chatting Cinema in our debate style format. Excited to have another debate. Excited to be on this side of the table, sort of moderating and asking questions. I'm Flynn.
I'm Gianni.
And I'm Luke.
Okay, so my question for you guys today, as both big fans of coming of age movies.
Here we go.
What movie most effectively uses its high school setting? Luke, you can start.
Oh, God.
Or whoever picks a movie first.
It's
Perks
high
being a
school
Wallflower.
setting.
Perks being Wallflower.
Okay. So the reason why I picked Perks, not only because I think it's the best coming of age movie, I think that it most effectively integrates high school with personal life out of any of them, where Charlie's a loner. He, spoiler alert, his best friend committed suicide the year before. And Charlie at high school, the scenes in high school, the hallway scenes where the seniors are bullying the freshmen, because Charlie just entered high school. This is his first glimpse of it. And his commentary on it, how he sits back and just kind of watches it happen at first, just so you observe the high school setting. You see the lunchroom dynamic, and he's pointing out all the people he wants to sit with. How heart-wrenching is that scene? But then on top of that, he finds his friends there. At first it's despair. At first it's the last place he wants to be, and he literally says he has 1,000 days left of it because it's day one of however many high school is for 4 years. But then at that high school, he finds his group of friends at the football game and through class when Ezra Miller's character is making fun of the shop teacher. But then he also finds that parental figure, not that his parents weren't there for him, but that he needed in Paul Rudd. Now, that teacher clearly was very much like Charlie in high school, and he knew that, and he saw that. That first scene in his class where he's asking those really random specific trivia questions about the history of literature, and Charlie just knows them, that scene really clicked with me because you saw Paul Rudd see something in him. And then from there throughout the movie, that's kind of whenever Charlie needs somebody to talk to, he goes to that teacher. But if you take the high school out of that and it's just at their homes, it's just the party scenes, and not that they're not fun, and Charlie eating a pot brownie and being high isn't hilarious, but that that movie with their graduation scene and that really powerful image at the end where they're all in the bleachers in their caps and gowns, and Charlie's a freshman and all of his friends are seniors, but you always go back to these settings. If you see it once, it comes back again, where you see the cafeteria once where Charlie's a loner, but then later he's with all of his friends there. You see him alone in the library, then later he's there studying with them. Mm-hmm. You see him alone in class, then it goes back to that class a couple times. And even before spring break, that's where he goes, or winter break, that's where he goes. And the most powerful line in that movie, I think, which wouldn't have happened if they didn't have the high school setting, is from Paul Rudd, "We accept the love we think we deserve."
Yeah, I think that's a good point to...
Yeah, so go for it,
Sure.
Gianni.
Okay, so this came pretty easily to me, but I think the best use of the high school setting is Spider-Man: Homecoming. I think that Peter Parker in this movie is the most representative of my personal high school experience, and I think that a lot of people would say that for themselves. Not just Peter in general, just the atmosphere of itself. The high school is something that I think we can all recognize from the first scene when Peter is just kind of walking to school. I think we all have memories of that. We have our headphones in, we're walking to class, we're getting off the bus, or in his case, the train. And high school can feel so crazy and convoluted, and John Watts, the director, shows that from the first scene, that high school is crazy and that this movie is going to be similar. It's loud, it's stressful, there's a lot going on the whole time, and it's crowded. Peter's life in Homecoming is crowded. He's got to balance being a superhero, he's balancing his friendship with Ned, he has a crush, he wants to impress Tony Stark. I think we've all had teachers that we've wanted to impress and be on the good side of. And in addition to that, we've all had great responsibilities. And that's something that I think Homecoming really hones in on. And more so than the previous Spider-Man iterations in live action, we see the high school the most here. We see Peter in gym class. We see high school parties, field trips. The Washington trip is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man scenes in general. The whole sequence of them getting to the hotel, Peter struggling with don't I go and chase after this thing, the vulture. That to me is what solidifies it. Michael Giacchino's score in the film too. It just feels like that perfect high school experience, and I think it's really informed by the high school setting.
Okay. Both these movies have really great casts, so my follow-up is, how effective are the actors playing high school students at creating genuine representations of high school students? So, Luke, you started. You can start.
Okay. So I think that the friend group Charlie ends up with is something where it's not a generic cookie cutter, everybody had one, but like everybody had this group where it was kind of a mismatch of people, but they come together and they make this really lovely little family where you have the scene like at homecoming where Charlie is literally standing in the back being the wallflower. Like that's his wallflower moment. And then Come On Eileen comes on. And like that still happens at dances now. Like not only was that a thing in the 90s and 80s, like still now Come On Eileen comes on. It's a banger and everybody dances to it. But that whole cast with Ezra Miller, with Emma Watson, they made Charlie feel welcome. They made him feel like he had somewhere to belong. And it's just like that group of people. And even, I don't remember the actor's name, but the football player, like Brad in the movie, like, and the other football players, like it's not just stereotypes. Like these feel like more real people where you see more than one side to them. Where like the goth characters, they're not just goths. Like Charlie dates one of them, and like you see her vulnerable side. And then like the scenes in class where like Ezra Miller's character is just like goofing off because he's a senior in wood shop and with a bunch of freshmen. Like I feel like these characters are multi-layered in a sense that there's a stereotype you know about them, but there's so much more to each person, and that's the whole point of the movie. Where Charlie has serious PTSD, and everybody else in a way does too. Of like they've gone through something. I mean, the stories of these characters are like so sad to think about, but then in reality, that's what high schoolers are. Everybody has something about them that's like that first thing you think, but then if you actually take the time to get to know them, you see all the other sides of them, and this movie does that. I think one of the best ways possible. From like the college characters that come back, the dropouts, like all these side characters that Charlie interacts with, and like I mean, there's like the preppy girl in his class that like seems like a nice girl, and like the first thing she says is like just so insulting to Charlie, and you're just like, damn, did not expect that. But I think that like the strongest case for this cast is that they're not just one character. They all have such deep issues that you learn about throughout the film. Like, and it's not just Charlie's, you learn about everybody's.
Sure. So I think there are two components in Spider-Man Homecoming that contribute to making it convincing high school kid performances from these actors. And that is one, obviously the script, and two, it is the cast. Tom Holland is the best Peter Parker Spider-Man, no question about it. He sells that young and excited attitude of Peter, while also like, feeling the responsibility, and that he has so much on his shoulders. And my favorite thing, something that I always come back to about this particular Peter Parker, is that he's still so positive when he has so much in his life to put him down. And I think that's something that is inspiring, that Homecoming really sold when it came out, that this Peter has, yes, he's been through a lot, but he can smile and he can have fun. And then getting into the supporting characters of the film, like I just think about the morning news show is so funny to me to this day, because it's something that I directly relate to. I had that in high school. I saw that.
Same.
And yeah, I think we all did. And it's Flynn and I went to the same high school, so we definitely know. Yeah. But it's just like you look at that and you can relate to it. And I think that's the key component to selling, your high school cast. And it's like, do you see yourself there? And I think I do. Especially the relationship between Peter and Ned, even Flash in the movie. I don't want to say I was ever bullied in high school, but like there were jerks, and they are more representative of Flash than I think like, the more conventional bullies pushing you against lockers. So stuff like that is what sells it for me. The teachers too in the film, I feel like, are all very accurate. um, and getting back to the cast, Zendaya as Michelle, Jacob Batalon as Ned, Tom Holland as Peter Parker. They are your main three, and they're what ground the film. I mean, oh, also Hannibal Buress as the gym teacher. I think everyone's had a gym teacher like that too. The kind of like nonchalant. But anyway, and something I will say about Homecoming is that it's set in a world of superheroes. So you would think it'd be larger than life and something that you can't relate to. But I think that's the greatest accomplishment of the film, is that you look at it and you say, wow, like this feels like high school. And that to me is why it's my favorite high school film, I think. So
difficult. Very difficult. Really great points there. I'm going to give it to Gianni, based on the specificities of the cast, and I think that the way you sold fitting into that high school was really good. But Luke, your arguments about the complexities of each character was also so strong in selling that argument of these are genuine people with more than just the stereotype that they are. But I think just by a hair, creating such a realistic environment of that high school, I think for me, Gianni, you effectively argued why that was the best use of its setting. So very, very close. Very close. This is, I don't like being in the moderator's seat. But yeah, that's going to wrap up another fun debate episode. I'm Flynn.
I'm Gianni.
And I'm Luke.
We'll see you next time.